I've been watching the queer version of The Ultimatum, and that show is genuinely so insane. If I had a girlfriend that I was like that seriously in love with, you could not pay me money to go on a show like that. And I'm sure they are being paid. I don't know how much, but like sometimes when I like fall asleep watching shows or like movies or whatever, like it will kind of cycle into my dreams. And that happened last night. Like I had a dream that I was like on that show and it was traumatizing. It was genuinely such a traumatizing experience. And that happened to me once with Dance Moms. I fell asleep watching Dance Moms and then Abby Lee Miller was just yelling at me all night. That wasn't very fun. I didn't appreciate that at all. Hello, and welcome back to my channel if you are new. Before we get into it, I do want to give a quick disclaimer. It is currently July 4th when I'm filming this, so if you just like randomly hear explosions, that's why. Fireworks are very loud and very annoying, but so is America. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. Today I wanted to film kind of a storytime video about my experiences at GovBall about a month ago. I actually have not filmed a storytime video yet for this channel, and I've kind of been wanting an excuse to. And this video is kind of that excuse for me, but I mainly just want this video to hopefully be somewhat helpful to people planning on going to music festivals, be it GovBall or whatever else, because this was actually my first experience at any sort of music festival. I think I would have appreciated kind of knowing a bit more what I was in for, because parts of it were very intense and frustrating at times, although I am very incredibly grateful to have the experiences that I did. I just wish I was better prepared for parts of it. Even if like 2 people click on this video, which probably because my channel's flopping to the depths of hell, I just like hope this video can be helpful to at least one person, and if it is, I will feel accomplished enough. Back in January, I was just casually scrolling Twitter one day, like I do most days. I come across this post for a festival called the Governor's Ball in Queens, New York. And I take a peek at the lineup. You're telling me that I can see Marina, Conan Gray, and Olivia Rodrigo on the same day, on the same stage. One thing to know about me is that I got hit with the fangirl gene incredibly hard. So in this case, I had only been to New York one previous time before this experience, and that was on a class trip in high school that was already pre-planned by my school, by my teachers. I just paid and I got on the plane. I didn't have to do any of the navigating, planning, details, any of that. So the fact that I was even considering dropping my savings to go fly across the country for this music festival was probably a little bit insane. Granted, I text my group chat, I'm like, hey, who wants to fly across the country with me? Automatically, most everyone was like pretty iffy on it, which like understandably so, maybe not the most responsible decision ever on my part. Immediately, my best friend Sophie was like, absolutely not. I have a cosplay event to go to, which like, you know what? Queen behavior. There was one person who said, Indy, I will fly across the country with you. And that person, ladies and gentlemen, kings, queens, and things, was AJ. Now, one thing to know about AJ and I's relationship is that ever since we've met, we've talked about wanting to go to New York. We're both musical theater kids, and that's a big part of it, just wanting to like go explore that culture and kind of be a part of that. And we also like a lot of the same artists. Like I showed them the lineup and they were like, hell yeah, like let's go. And so I go on to Ticketmaster and I get us two-day passes, general admission, Saturday and Sunday for GovBall in New York. Did we have flights yet? No. Did I book the hotel? No. Did I know in my heart that we were going to get there one way or another? Absolutely. Even still to this day, I don't think it's really fully set in for either me or AJ that we really went to New York. Like, I don't think it was ever that serious for either of us. We're like, yeah, let's just like go on a plane and go to New York. Like, we can do that. We're legal adults. And I think one thing about this experience that like really taught me a lot is that like you really can buy a plane ticket and go anywhere. There's nothing stopping you. Financial responsibilities, not important. Work, even less important. So like, really, do what makes you happy. But fast forward to June 3rd, 2005, a month ago. A month and a day ago from when I'm recording this video. We're on the plane sitting next to each other. Like, yeah, but like, what if we went to New York right now? Like, what if? Like, girl, the plane's taking off in 5 minutes. You better make up your mind about that. From that point, fast forward to June 6th, which was the day before the first day we were supposed to go. Technically, it was the first day of Gov Ball, but we didn't have passes for that first day. AJ and I are walking around Manhattan, you know, living our best life as two mentally insane theater kids would in New York City. And AJ gets a text message from the Gov Ball alerts system, whatever you want to call it, saying, hey, so it's probably gonna rain tomorrow and we're gonna keep an eye out and we're gonna update you with any future changes to the Gov Ball schedule. And we look at each other, we're like, they wouldn't. Like, they absolutely would not. They would not. They wouldn't. Fast forward to the next morning. We wake up. Mind you, we had been in New York already for like a few days prior, and I was exhausted, both physically, mentally. I think the last thing I wanted to do was like get all dolled up and like go on a subway and like go to Queens. Like, I was not about that lifestyle. And also, like, keep in mind, I had just gotten back from LA with my best friend Sophie because we went to see Stray Kids. So I went to LA, came back to Arizona, and then flew across the country to go to New York. So like, my immune system was crashing. I had really bad allergies at this point, and I was just like, I'm not having it. Like, I'm not having it. But like, Marina's on the line. I had to see Marina. There was no way I was walking away from New York not having seen Marina. So I'm like, you know what? Fine. I'll get ready. And so I did, and I opened Twitter, and a lot of my mutuals who were going to this festival had already started lining up for entry, and I'm like, hell yeah, you go get that barricade, and we will celebrate together afterwards. I didn't see any of my mutuals. I wanted to, but I did not have like the mental capacity to like plan any of that out, so I didn't. I wish I did. If any of my mutuals are watching this that went to Gov Ball, hi. Wish I saw you. Sorry I didn't. But keep this in mind too, because this is actually an important detail. People were already starting to line up for entry. Like, people were already there, and this was not exactly like an easy location to get to. So it wasn't like super easy to just like leave and come back. It took some effort getting there. So keep that in mind when I tell you, maybe like a half hour before the gates were supposed to open, they send out a text notification, an update that they are going to be postponing the festival due to the weather until 4:30. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure entry was supposed to be at 12, so that's like 4.5 hours gone. So that's half the day gone that people already like put time, money, and effort into. And so to say that people were upset is definitely downplaying the severity of it for a lot of people, because AJ and I were lucky that we hadn't left yet, because we were planning on getting there later in the day, because most of the artists that we were wanting to see wasn't performing until later. But a lot of people came for these smaller artists that ultimately did not get a chance to play because a lot of the sets were either cut entirely or shortened. And I'm of the belief, or like at least under the impression, that this really did not need to happen, because it did end up raining during the show regardless. I'll get into that more later, but we really had no issues as far as that once the festival actually started. It's just confusing to me why they needed to postpone it that much when it hardly rained at all. It rained for maybe like 20 minutes out of the whole 4.5 hours they cut the festival down. And mind you, they never issued partial refunds or any sort of compensation like that, which I think is ridiculous, because again, that's half the day gone that people invested time, money, and energy into. And you're going to cut a lot of the artists people came to see and shorten their sets. Like, I'm sorry, people deserve financial compensation for that, because that is a lot of money spent and basically wasted. So that already wasn't a great start to the day, but I was still like, you know what? I'm like determined to have fun with this. And so we get ready, we leave our hotel, and we go to this little convenience store. I get an Advil because I have like a terrible spine splitting headache. I don't think that's a saying. I just made that up to describe how terrible this headache was. It actually wasn't that bad. But I did need an Advil, so I got an Advil, and this was also my first time trying a Red Bull. I don't love the taste of a Red Bull, I'm gonna be so honest. I am a Celsius girly through and through, but they didn't have Celsius at this convenience store that we went to, so I had to settle for some sort of energy. So I got a Red Bull, and I drank the Red Bull, and I would not go out of my way to do that again. We go walk around, we go get food. We went to this little pizza spot, and they actually had really good pizza. They were quite good. And so once we've gathered our bearings, it's a little bit later in the day, we're like, all right, let's do the thing. Let's do the thing we came here to do. And so we start navigating on our Google Maps. Flushing Meadows Corona Park. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. If I'm messing that up, don't point that out because I don't care that much. We get on the subway to Queens, New York. Like I said, this was not an easy location to find. I think we were misdirected by maps a few times before we finally got to the location that it was supposed to be directing us to. But when we finally got off the subway and kind of walked to this like kind of gated park area, it was very strange. But this wasn't where the festival was happening. This directed us to basically a trail that went through this like freeway section that we were supposed to walk to the entrance of where the festival was happening. And I don't remember exactly how long it was, but it was definitely a few miles at least through a freeway. We were standing outside because there were a bunch of people were confused. Like, it wasn't just us. There was a group of a few people that were standing outside this park. They kindly let us know this information before, you know, we had committed and, you know, regretted our decisions of coming to New York at all. And so we're talking to this group of people, and we meet these two Conan Gray fans. And they're like, hey. I'm like, hey. And they so kindly let us ride in the Uber with them to where the actual entrance was. Because I know a lot of people did just decide to walk through the trail for God knows what reason. I was going to order AJ and I an Uber, but luckily these two people let us ride with them. And I am so utterly grateful for Conan Gray fans. I love you. And I am one of you. So we're riding in this Uber, listening to some Doja Cat. You know, we're just chatting, we're having a good time. These were very, very nice people. I think it was a mom and her daughter. We never got their Instagrams or anything, which, like, usually I try to, like, get social medias of people that I meet at events like these, but unfortunately never got around to doing that. We did find out later, though, that there was a subway that took us directly to the entrance of the festival. I think it was the 7 line. I'm not entirely sure the situation with that, but I think it only runs sometimes for, like, special events. And so that wasn't something that Google Maps had like directed us to, so that wasn't something we knew about until it was too late, basically. But we get to the festival, and already you can just tell that none of the staff knows what's going on, because there's multiple different lines seemingly for entrance to the festival. Every officer, staff person that we had asked said that they didn't know where we were supposed to go for entrance, and they were getting frustrated. And that was kind of a trend we noticed for most of the staff at this festival, was that they just seemed so frustrated, and a lot of them were just straight up rude to people at the festival, which I understand. Like, dealing in this kind of situation or like you're not being given the proper directions, which is the main problem. Like, I understand being frustrated at that, but a lot of what I heard just seemed like they were specifically frustrated at the people asking for directions. Like maybe don't act like that, because we are also in a very stressful situation. We've already had like half of our day ruined because of the stupid rain that like never happened for more than 20 minutes. Yeah, maybe just like be a little nicer to us. If you can handle that. But yeah, I think the main problem was that no one was being given the proper directions to direct people to where the entrance was. No one knew where they were going, and it was just a mess. And it was really humid, it was very hot, and it was very sticky. At this point we were like, what don't we just get ourselves into? Like, it was an experience and a half already. One other good thing that came out of this experience, during this first part at least, was that we ran into a Marina fan who was like talking with us, and that was a fun experience. I really always like meeting people who like the same artists as me. I think that's a big reason why these types of events are so popular in the first place, because I just think it's fun meeting people from fandoms that you're in and like talking to them. You're like, wow, you're just as deranged as I am. We finally get to the area that we're supposed to enter, and we're like, thank God. And at this point, it was so close to when Marina was supposed to perform. I'm like, if I miss Marina, I'm killing myself. And I could hear, we were so close to getting into the festival, and I heard like, we need to like haul ass through the security thing so we can get to the stage. Cause what do you mean I'm missing fruit right now? That can't, no. So we get through security, and at this point I did miss fruit. I did not get to experience Fruit live. But at this point, she was playing Princess of Power. And this was actually the first time I'd ever gotten to hear that song, because this was a couple days after she dropped her album. But I just hadn't gotten a chance to listen to it yet because I was so busy traveling. But I got to hear it. I'm like, wow, this is already such a banger. And by the way, her new album is amazing. I've had it on repeat nonstop since I got to listen to it on the plane back. But for this being my first time hearing both Princess of Power and I Love You, so incredible.
I'm gonna die. What do you mean I'm singing Marina right now? Oh my god. What the fuck?
Cut to the end of Marina's set. I'm like, I'm healed. I am ready to be a better person. At this point, there's a bit of time between Marina and Wallows, which was the next band that was playing. And so AJ and I were like, hey Queen, hey Thing, do you want to like go get some water? Because we're probably going to die and pass out if we don't. So we go over to the drink section, get our water, you know, we shimmy our way back to the stage afterwards. A little background information, I guess. Conan Gray has a new album coming out called Wishbone, and he was doing this promotional thing for it called the Wishbone Sailing Club, which is this like thing you can sign up for. You can put your email in and you get like exclusive access to clips and like different merch items. It's just a whole thing. There was supposed to be this person that was handing out like special pins to members who signed up for the Wishbone Sailing Club, and I was one of them. And fun fact, I signed up without even like fully being conscious of what I was signing up for, because I think I went on to like try to pre-save Wishbone, and then it started asking me for my email, and like I was half asleep at this point. I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. But then I thought about it. I'm like, what did I just sign up for? Like, I actually have no idea. And then I got the email. They're like, hey, free pins at Guffball. I'm like, okay, cool, that's what I signed up for. Got it. So anyways, on our way back from the drink station, I find the girl in the little red sailor hat. I'm like, hey, are you getting out the pins? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my god. And actually, I can show you the pin. I put it on my purse, but this was the pin. But yeah, it was fun because we just got to talk to her for a minute, and she was really nice. I don't know her name. I didn't catch her name, but love you, girl, wherever you are. But fast forward to Wallows, and little background information. I really went into this not knowing anything about Wallows, but AJ is a huge Wallows fan. And you know what? I'm gonna air out their business on here. AJ, I'm so sorry. AJ does watch my videos, so maybe you know what's coming. Wallows came and did a performance at the college that AJ goes to a couple years back. I can't tell this story like they do, but basically AJ got to meet Wallows outside of a Jamba Juice at the college that Wallows came to. and basically it was just like insane and fangirling all over the place in this cafe. We were talking about like, whoa, do you think they'll like see me in the crowd and like remember me and then like run off stage? So Wildest performs, and as of going into this as a non-fan, like not really knowing anything about them, they were amazing. Like I thoroughly enjoyed their set. I thought they were really talented. I really liked the songs that they played, and in the middle of the show it started raining, which again made me question why it was such a big deal that it was raining before, because nothing happened. We all had a grand old time. But that was a really cool experience because I'd never had that happen at a show before, especially being that this was my first experience at a music festival. I thought that was a very interesting way to kind of kick that off, if you will. After Wallows, we're just sitting in the crowd because there's basically no going anywhere. Like if we were to try to leave, we'd lose our spots in the crowd, and we're like, that's not about to happen. Like we need to be as close as we can get, which actually we were decently close. Like I can't really complain about the spots that we had, especially at the point of Olivia, who was the headliner. Like we were actually pretty close, and I look back at the videos, I'm like, that was the closest I've ever been at any sort of concert, so that was a super cool experience for me. At this point, we're waiting for Conan to go on, and there's this girl behind us. I can't exactly remember why we started talking, but at some point we start talking. You can kind of tell she's like a little bit tipsy. You know, we're just talking, kind of vibing, and at some point, I genuinely don't even remember the context for this, but like at one point, she just turns to me and AJ's behind her. Oh my god, this is gonna sound so stupid, but she just turns to me. She's like, you have really pretty eyes. Like, I kind of just want to stare into them for a minute. She just stands back and just like stares me dead in the eyes. I'm like, whoa, okay. At a certain point, again, don't remember the context for this, but like we were like arm in arm, like linking arms, like right next to each other. I'm like, I'm arm in arm with a pretty girl before a Conan Gray concert. Like I think I'm living my best life right now. Like I think this is it for me. I think this is my peak. After all that, Conan comes on. First song he plays was this song, which was his first live performance ever of this song, because it like just came out about a month ago. I think like being one of the first people to like ever get to experience this song performed live actually shifted something in my brain chemistry. His whole set was so good. Part of this album's concept is like it has a very heavy sailor concept, so he came out just like in a sailor suit. The stage had like a bunch of waves. It was just such a fun performance to watch. He did a cover of Jolene by Dolly Parton, which was so unexpected to me, but I really enjoyed it. And this was my second time seeing Conan Gray live, so I knew what I was in for more or less, but it was still amazing. There's a reason I flew across the country partially to see him perform live, because I think he genuinely is just like such a great live performer, and you can tell that he enjoys what he does so much. But moving on from that, we then get to wait for our headliner, Miss Olivia Rodrigo. And this was my first time ever seeing Olivia live, and we're like in the crowd waiting, and at some point we had all just started like singing Disney Channel theme songs and like Nickelodeon theme songs too. We were singing like the Jessie theme song.
It feels like a party every day. Hey, 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 let's say.
We sang like the Victorious theme song. I'm gonna try to get through the story time as fast as I can at this point, because I've been filming for almost an hour and my constant yapping has made my vocal cords incredibly sore. So, but one thing to note, the staff had started, they had these like cartons of water, like, you know those milk cartons you get in like the cafeteria at like school lunches? They had those, but water that they were like throwing into the crowd, which I understand the intent behind this, because like obviously we're all out, we're like having a good time, we're dehydrated, like we need water. It's like not exactly easy to leave the crowd to go get water in that instance, but the way they were throwing these like cartons of water was so diabolical because people were like getting hit in the eye. And like I definitely got hit. I didn't get hit in the eye. But it felt almost deliberate the way they were throwing these cartons of water. And they did the same thing on day 2, but like the staff on day 2, at least as far as that, was like so much more chill. And I'm not sure like why they hated us so bad on day 1. Yeah, it was kind of crazy the way they were doing that. But finally we get to our headliner, and Olivia was amazing. Like I said, this was my first time ever seeing Olivia live, and I definitely want to see her again at an actual concert of her own. I think especially for this first day that we were at Gov Ball, I really have no complaints for any of the performance that we saw. They were all so good and like calculated and just like really seemed to have so much passion for what they were doing. And I really do just feel so grateful to have this experience. As much as it may seem like I'm complaining and like frustrated about certain aspects of it, that doesn't take away from the fun and the good parts of this experience that I have. Like I really do think everything that we went through up until this point was absolutely worth it, purely for the performances, because they were amazing. But I think Olivia Rodrigo was probably the loudest I've ever screamed at a concert. She just interacted with the crowd so well. I really just almost don't even have the words to describe it. She was just amazing. But yeah, day 1, as much as it was exhausting, it ultimately was worth it. And I do question why nobody ended up getting refunds for, again, the 4 hours that got taken away from us. But I digress. I had a great time otherwise. At this point, leaving the festival grounds, there was a bit of confusion getting out, and we went to this area that like I think a lot of people thought was an exit, but it wasn't. It was just like maybe like an emergency exit of some sort, but it wasn't like the main exit we were supposed to go through. There was also like a photo op kind of area that a lot of people were wanting to take pictures at. The way the staff member was just like screaming at people to get out of that area, he's like, "This isn't an exit!" As much as I am grateful for this experience, I've never been to like a concert or like any sort of event of this nature with staff as rude as the staff was at Gov Ball. I don't know what the deal was. He wouldn't even like let people take pictures. Something else I thought of, since I don't think I really explained this the best, the park was closing. And I understand like as staff you need to try to get people out, but there's a difference in the way this guy was like literally screaming at people to stop taking pictures. And when me and AJ were sitting outside the park after we had found the exit, there was some staff who came up to us and like said, "Hey, you know, the park's closing, we have to like, it's our job to like get people out." And they were polite about it. That's the difference. That's the issue that I have, was that like you could have respectfully told people that they need to get out instead of yelling at them, screaming at them. It's just a matter of respect. And also I do question, because this was a problem on the second day that we went. I keep saying day 2. It was technically day 3. It was Sunday that we went. And that was the day that wasn't postponed. Like it was the whole festival, and we still had issues with like the park being closed, and they were like trying to herd people out like sheep, not even like letting us use the bathrooms or anything. Which I question, like, why have a festival here if you know that you're going to go over the time of the park closing and that is going to be a problem? Like, you should not have to yell at people not to use the bathroom because the park is closing after a festival. Like, I'm sorry, that should not have been like an issue, and the fact that it was is like very questionable, I feel like. But we go back to our hotel, fast forward to the next morning, day 2. If I thought I was ready to not go on day 1, I was not ready for day 2. My immune system was not happy with me, okay? My allergies were even worse. I was like so utterly exhausted. But this was the day that Hosier was supposed to headline. I say supposed to headline, he did headline. And AJ's a huge fan of Hosier. So I was like, you know what? I know that AJ wants to live out their fangirl fantasies. So I'm just gonna see it through. I'm gonna see it through, and I'm gonna have a good time no matter what. So we get up, we get ready. I get another Advil because my headache was back. But we get down there, and this was actually nice because we knew the trick with the train now, so we didn't like accidentally go to this like weird park and have to walk through a freeway. We were able to take the subway directly there, so getting there was a little bit more steady, and we actually knew where to go for like entrance this time, so that was nice. And we got there a little bit earlier, I think, than we were expecting. And so we go over to the merch stand. Actually, I want to see if I can get it. I want to see if I can like show you what I actually got. We get in line for the merch stand so I can get this. I just thought that shirt was like so hilarious, and I love Conan. I really do. The material is actually really thick, which I wasn't expecting, so it's actually like pretty good quality too. When I was like buying the shirt, I like took out my wallet to like give my card to the cashier, and all my like coins just like fell out of my wallet. And it was so embarrassing. There was a couple people in line who like came to like help me pick them up, and this guy was like, don't worry, like I've been there. I'm like, thank you, King. Like I feel so embarrassed right now. And so we go back and we kind of find this area like kind of a bit further away in the grass. This was right before Ray's set. First of all, Ray's set was amazing. Like I wasn't even like in the crowd for this because like I was at this point, like I was just so exhausted, like I couldn't deal with like being in a crowd. Her set was so amazing. Genuine chills through my body, which is not something I experience with a whole lot of artists. Oh my god. I am sad we weren't closer for her because I would have liked to get better videos and pictures of her set. But after that, AJ's plan at least was to try to get as close to Barricade as possible for this day. Actually turned out very successful. We got very close to Barricade. We were basically like one person away for Hosier. And so after Ray's set, I go to try to find food. I got like edamame dumplings and like a lemonade for like $30. And it was maybe like 5 dumplings, and they were small, and like a lemonade for $30. I was like, I need food or I'm gonna like pass out, but like I don't really want to be spending this money right now. But the dumplings were good. At a festival where like you can't bring food in, it just feels like evil to like make prices that ridiculously high. I know why it happens, but like I think there should be laws against that. Personally, I go and I eat my silly little dumplings, and it was actually sprinkling a bit during this time, and I was at this point I was on my own. AJ was like in the crowd. I don't know if I made that part super clear, but I was on my own, and I was gonna walk over to a different stage to see Claro, and I'm kind of sad I didn't get to, but at this point I was feeling a bit better, and the crowd was kind of like dispersing around AJ, so it was like easier to like kind of make my way through back to where they were standing. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take this chance now between sets and like go up, hey, how you doing, Icon? Glad we can meet again. So I do that. I make my way over back to AJ. This was during Mountjoy, I think. Mountjoy was amazing as well. I hope I'm saying their name right, because I again don't know a whole lot about them, but it was kind of interesting because we're both kind of like looking at the people next to us, and they're just like straight up doing lines of off their car keys, and we're like, oh, I guess that's the vibe. Like we were so like taken aback by that because we just look over and they're just like doing drugs like right next to us. At one point, AJ had left the crowd to go use the bathroom. It's hard for me to like process this in my mind, and like maybe this seems like insignificant, but to me this is so huge. I look over, people are like cheering for someone. The way this was set up was like there was the stage, and then there was like 2 rows like coming outside of the stage that go into this catwalk, right? And then the crowd is on like either one of it, and we were like right next to Barricade at this point. And so I look over, people are like cheering for someone walking down this way, right? I'm like, I wonder who that could be. I look over, it's Ray walking like 3 feet away from me, and I just like don't have the words even to describe this, because especially considering like how far away we were for her actual set, to then just like be standing 3 feet away from her in real time, like she's just right there. Like she's so stunning. Ray like goes back to sit at the end of the catwalk to watch the show, I assume. And at this point I'm like, damn, I'm like kind of bummed AJ missed that. And so AJ comes back, and then I was gonna tell her after the set that was going on ended because it would just like be easier to verbalize it. But then Ray comes back down the catwalk right again where AJ and I were standing, and we look over, we're like, whoa, like that's Ray. That is Ray in the flesh standing 3 feet away from us, and she was like waving at fans. She was smiling. I'm like, oh my god, this is so insane. That was definitely a highlight of my life. Oh my god. Moving on to the very last performer that we saw, Hozier, the headliner of day 3. Again, went in being a very casual listener of Hozier, but AJ's a huge fan, so I really didn't know fully what to expect. And I feel like I'm saying this about every artist, but like I really do mean it. Like everyone performing was just so amazing. Hozier especially had so much love and passion for his craft, and you could just like feel that all throughout his performance. He made a statement speaking up about Palestine and kind of just like a lot of things happening in the world, which was so refreshing, I feel like, to hear, because I think a lot of artists don't tend to use their voices and their platform in, I feel like, the most productive way for like a lot of the suffering that goes on in the world. I think for him to be like so outspoken about that on such a large scale festival like really was really special, and it was really refreshing to hear, and I'm really glad that was a section of his performance. I know AJ had a great time. But after Hozier's set had ended, this was like the last big thing that like really irked me about the staff, was that people were obviously trying to go to the bathroom. We have basic bodily functions. We've been in this crowd for hours at this point. Staff was like yelling at people, telling them to get out for using the bathrooms. AJ got to use the bathroom. I was going to, but then obviously they were yelling at people not to, so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just go. Like, I don't... What? We had went to this Taco Bell afterwards, and like, I don't know, somewhere in Manhattan, I think. At this point, I actually didn't think I was gonna make it. I had to pee so bad, and this Taco Bell didn't have a bathroom. It just like straight up did not have a bathroom. I think it was like closed for repairs, and so we had to go to this like convenience store next to it, and I think they were cleaning it, and they weren't like fully done, but like they let me use it anyways. The workers there were very nice, and I am like so grateful to them, because I think I would have died at that Taco Bell had I not been able to use that bathroom. So shout outs to them. One thing I forgot to mention was that during Olivia Rodrigo's set, I'm not sure who facilitated this, but there were these like giant like beach balls that were just like in the crowd, and I think they pissed off a lot of people because a lot of people were getting hit. I didn't have too many issues with them personally, but like I do see how they could have been like very maybe not the vibe, because like I think they were fun in theory, but I think in practice people did get hurt because of them. AJ did manage to catch one and took one home, because after the first night we were there, we were just kind of like waiting by the stage. The staff was like picking up the balls and just like throwing them out to people to take home, and AJ managed to get one, and AJ is iconic for that. And then I think that was like the only major thing I forgot to mention. Before I wrap up this video, I did want to get AJ's perspective a bit, because they had actually been to a music festival while I had not, so I wanted to see like how they could kind of compare it and like maybe give some advice. So first thing I asked was, do you have any comments you'd like to share with the chat? AJ said, I don't think so, except like obviously stay vigilant about your surroundings, pay the extra money for water because you will need it. So true. It is worth it to like spend extra money on water. I know it like kind of sucks, although they did have hydration stations for people who like brought their own water bottles. I just like didn't feel like lugging that around. I did have a plastic water bottle bottle on day 2 that I brought with me, so that was really helpful. So like if you can do that, definitely do, but like if that's not really like something you thought about, just pay the extra money for water. Then I asked, this was after I asked, how would you compare it to the other festival that you went to? If comparing it to the other festival I went to, Gov Ball wasn't really that well managed. No one really knew where to have concert goers stand or enter, and there wasn't really any direction as to the entry until we got there and realized we could have took the subway the whole way there. The staff security, whoever they were, are really rude. Like, I understand wanting to go home and get everyone out, but they were really rude about it and didn't have to literally yell at us to stop taking pictures, using the bathroom, etc. Just the way the staff handled it was kind of crazy. But I will say the medics responded pretty fast compared to some other festivals, which was refreshing, because there was a situation that happened next to us. Whatever that situation was, the attention of the medic was caught pretty quick. Background information on this, something I forgot to mention, there was kind of a scare. I think we thought someone in the crowd was like about to pass out. I'm not sure what fully the situation was. I think they were okay at the end of it, but medics were like alerted and they did respond really fast and were like very productive with that. So that was something that was a plus about this experience. I will say also the organization of the other festival I went to was more organized in terms of food, water, and stages. The stages felt kind of haphazardly put together in some kind of wacky form, and no one really knew where, at least in my opinion, where some of the booths were, and the merch tables were separated and not well labeled, so that was kind of odd. One thing I will say is that they had artist merch as well as other festival merch, and the other festival I went to only had festival merch. I like that this festival was only one stage for the majority of the artists, because the festival I went to was like 3 different stages, so it was a lot of walking back and forth. There were 3 stages of Gutful, but I think they did have a certain awareness of like who the artists in most demand were, and they kind of put that on the main stage. Like, for example, I think like having Conan Gray and Olivia Rodrigo on the same day was a reason that a lot of people were going, especially to Saturday. So I think putting them on the same stage was like a deliberate choice, and I think that was a good decision because that made that experience a lot easier as far as like not having to walk between stages and being able to like stay in that crowd and not having to like sacrifice your place in the crowd, if that makes sense. So I think there was a very good awareness about that, and I think that like helps kind of ease that tension. That's what AJ had to say. I hope this video was worth your time, and I hope you learned something from it, because story times again is not something like I've done on this channel really at all. So I'm a little bit nervous about how it might turn out, but I do hope it was worth your time. I do hope you enjoyed, and hopefully if this turns out well, maybe I can do more depending on what y'all want to hear. But as for me, I'm going to go to bed. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider liking and subscribing to this channel. If you did, I would appreciate it very, very much. But other than that, I will see you next week, and in the meantime, take care of yourself. Bye.